Hello, hello, all. It is a beautiful Saturday, and I'm just so thankful that you took time out of your day to either watch this live or on a replay. I am so thankful for you, and I truly, truly appreciate it. I am Becky Bunnell, owner of Luca Haven Design, which is a purpose driven interior design company out of Grand Rapids in West Michigan. And I have been coming live for, I think we are on 30 days now of going live, helping you just get to know me better and getting to know you guys better and how I have my processes, what my why is, and my mission, which is to create spaces with intention, mission, and connection. And we have been spending this past week going over how you can create a more welcoming home in those downstairs rooms. So we looked at entryways, we looked at living room, kitchen, dining room. We've even looked at the homeschool or homework area in your house. How do you make that more welcoming and inviting maybe your neighbors' kids in a little bit? And today we're going to go over one of my favorite subjects, which is how do you create a welcoming atmosphere when you're hosting or hospitality into your home. And I have a past life, actually, it's still pretty present, of loving to throw parties. And if you've ever been to one of mine, you know that this is a love language of mine of how to create a fun party where everyone can get engaged. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this today. And the first place we start is honestly the same place that we started when we did any of our rooms. And that's sitting down and thinking, how do I want my guests to feel? Maybe it's for a dinner party, or honestly, you can even do it for events that you just have within your own little family. We love to celebrate in our family, celebrating the seasons, celebrating the end of school, the beginning of school, birthdays, even like close, intimate parties within your own family, and then all the way up to big events where you're hosting multiple people for a celebration. These tips you can kind of scale these tips for what you're planning. But always take time, take a minute, and sit down and think, how do I want the people that are going to be coming into my world, how do I want them to feel during this event? So if it's your neighbors coming over for dinner, how do I want them to feel? Your kids, how do I want them? What do I want? How can I love on them best? All the way up to all your guests. And for me, I take time and I just kind of pray over it a little bit, and then I create this intention statement for even my events. I know one of the events we had was a Christmas party, and it had just been one of those really busy, busy years. And our last name being Bunnell, the B, I love the thought of putting like a B period and then some type of adjective or some type of action. And so what we did is it was so busy that we called it Be Still. And so how could we create stillness and warmth and comfort into our party? And that's the basis. That was our guiding star as we planned this party. What could that be? And even with my kids' birthday parties, we do the same thing. I shared a picture today for my daughter when she turned 4, and she had this ladybug girl party, but it was all about being brave and feeling accepted and taking over the world and being imaginative and feeling strong. And so, the activities paired with the decor and how people felt as they came in. And we had like an obstacle course to make them feel like they were on top of the world and they could conquer everything. And so no matter what kind of event, take time and understand what are my intentions for this event. That is the place to start. And then from there, some of my top tips, just kind of take it throughout the time, right? Making sure that you're welcoming your guests into your home. Taking a minute to actually pause what you're doing in the kitchen, maybe, and welcome your guests. Give them, maybe if you're a hugger, give them a hug. Welcome them in right away. Making sure you have the entry light on for them, that you know, maybe even you have a little board out in your entryway that welcomes them specifically. Maybe you're having a specific family over and it can say, Welcome Benels, right on this letter board that you have at your entryway. That way people feel like, yeah, they know I was coming. They, you know, are welcoming me in, and I feel already accepted into this home because they took the time to change out a chalkboard that said, Welcome to me. I read a book once where their daughter came home from college, and even welcoming people that you are close with into your home, and they put up post-it notes throughout the whole home that said, "We are so glad you're here. We love your smile." And there is just something about it when you're going around the home and you're like, yeah, they took the time to actually make sure that I felt welcome. So anytime you're hosting someone, do those little things, and it doesn't take much. My daughter even puts it up throughout our house of like, be the best you can be. And she takes time to do that for us, even within our own home. So really taking time, welcome your guests in, whether there's people that came all the time or people that are new to your home. Take time to welcome them in. And then the other tip I have is make sure that when you're welcoming them in, you are ready to be with them. I know in my previous years, I have been doing final touches or doing this and that, and I never got to really spend time with my guests. And I learned that if I could prepared beforehand, that I had the chance to be with my guests. It's kind of like that Martha Mary situation, right? I had time to be with them, to hear them, to listen to them, to connect with them when I took the time to prep beforehand. So what does this look like, right? Cleaning your house beforehand. And if it takes you too long to clean, start digging into maybe why. Do you need other systems in place? Even if it's the surprise guest, having a home that's ready to welcome people in, that's, you know, not as cluttered. There can be messes. I have 4 kids. There's always some type of mess usually, but it's not so overwhelming that guests feel like they can't come in and sit down. So creating those systems already in place so that cleaning doesn't take you a long time. And please do not worry about the baseboards. It's just a quick clean, getting things vacuumed up and put away. That's it. You don't have to stress that every little minor detail is cleaned, because the stress of that will make you not be mentally and emotionally prepared to be with your guests. So just do a quick clean, and if you can't do a quick clean, figure out why that is. Maybe there's something you have to tackle inside of you. Maybe there's some decluttering that needs to happen. Whatever it is, take time to be inquisitive about it. That way you don't feel so burdened by having guests over. Now, one of the rooms that we have, our homeschool room that we went over yesterday, sometimes it gets really, really cluttered and things are everywhere. We've had a long week and we just haven't gotten to it. I honestly just added a simple curtain that can go, we have glass doors, and I added a curtain inside the office or homeschool room so we can quickly put up curtains if I just can't get to it. And no one even notices that there's these curtains on the other side. So think about easy things like that because you want to be with your guests. And if you're having a larger event, make sure you have things out and ready for them before they come. Having the food out, having anything they need ready to go beforehand. You can decorate the night before. I always recommend that because decorating takes way longer than it should usually. And have the food out, you know, an hour before they get there so that you can just take a beat and breathe before people come. The other thing is making sure that you have the trash out so people can see where it is that they go, so that you're not constantly having to answer the question, where do I put my bottles? Where do I put my trash? Have it out so people can understand. And then do not forget to also think about the bathrooms, making sure that there's clear extra toilet paper or extra things that your guests need. Don't ignore the half bath, especially if you're having a larger party. Make a basket of maybe some essentials people may need throughout their time. Maybe you have an intriguing poster up or something fun that makes them think on the walls, making sure that you have the toilet paper, obviously, so people can see. So if it runs out. And we have this corner before you get to where our vanity is, and it's a little hidden, but people can still see. I always put the plunger there. So I know the plunger is not the most beautiful thing in the world, but having that plunger there for those guests that maybe, especially if you have kids, so that way it's very easy to take care of the situation if it's needed to, and people don't need to be embarrassed by it. And it is still kind of tucked away, but still in visible sight. So taking consideration from your setup, your food, to where the trash goes, to where anything they may need while they're at your home, making it visible, and then even thinking about that half bath. And then when I talk about setup too, I feel like when you're hosting parties, dinner parties, or parties for your family, or even big parties, people tend to go overboard with the decor and the food and the drinks, and you don't need to stress about that. I love to use the power of 3 here. So what does that mean when it comes to hosting and hospitality? And what that means is, think about the food. Only have 3 types of food. And I always say too, buy 2 and then make 1. Unless you really, really love to cook, but I don't like to stress out about parties as much as I used to. I realized that it was not worth it, and I wasn't able to, really enjoy my parties when I put too much into them. But if you only have 3 foods to worry about and you're only cooking 1 or preparing 1, it is so freeing. So even dinner parties, I'll have 1 main dish and 2 sides. And if it's a dinner party, I'll usually cook everything because it's a lot less, stress because it's not as many people. But if you are buying for people, I always recommend buying 2 and maybe making 1 of the appetizers. And then same with drinks, 3 drinks. You buy 2 and maybe you have a fun, fancy theme drink, and always water on hand as well. But making sure that you're just focusing on 3. It does not have to have, people won't remember the variety of things you necessarily had. They'll just remember the time that they spent with you. So, and they'll honestly remember that 1 fancy themed drink that you had. And you only need 1. You don't need a whole plethora of a lot. So power of 3 when it comes to food and when it comes to water. And then also when it comes to decor. This one took me a while, and I probably still haven't learned this lesson. But when I do it, there's a lot less stress on me when hosting specifically a bigger party. And the power of 3 when it comes to decor is, if you have a bigger party, focus your decor in 3 specific areas of your home. So whether that's in the living room, the kitchen, and maybe the dining room, or maybe it's the entryway in the living room and the kitchen, just focus on 3 places, and then within each, just 3 pieces of decor really can bring it all together. And when I have smaller parties for the kids, I honestly just focus it all on the table, and that's it. And I have, a nice table setting, I have a backdrop, and then I'll have a centerpiece. And that's it. And if I can focus on those 3 areas, I don't have to say, oh my goodness, I need to make sure that they're welcomed in a certain fancy way, or that they're this and that. And I just step back and I'm able to plan quicker, make decisions, and be done planning, and then getting it set up and relaxing. So power of 3 when it comes to all of those, your food, your drinks, your decor. That way you're not stressing that you don't have enough. It is perfectly well balanced hosting of a party when you only have 3 things. And there's a lot less stress on you. So that's one of my bigger tips. Um, and then let's see, making sure that as your guests come in, that you're not staying with one guest too long. You want to make sure that people start to mingle, to feel like they can talk to more than just you. And so that's where the guest list comes into play, but also how you're bringing people together. Oh, your daughter does is at the horse barn and they're going to horse camp. Oh, did you meet, so and so over here? Their daughter's also going to horse camp, and start to link people together with like interests. And then also when it comes to the activities, um, this is what the post was all about today. It's making an activity that's bigger than the party itself. We love to have the fun activities, but then balance it with a more meaningful activity. And what I mean by this is figuring out maybe a nonprofit that you can have an activity centered around and that the whole party is able to support that nonprofit. So we have done homeless shelter bags, we have done packing of kid food baskets, snack packs, the bracelets for Camp Sunshine. We have done blankets. We've done Toys for Tots during Christmas time as well. Having an activity that people can come around really helps them converse with people that they may not converse with, because you're creating that common activity for them to talk about. And they're doing something with their hands and they're doing something that matters. So people just start naturally talking. So when you're planning your activities, don't feel like you have to entertain your guests so much. Really take a step back and be like, how can I create a more meaningful activity? Because the conversation honestly flows a lot better with people as they're sitting coloring bags for kids' food basket or tying a blanket together. It really makes a more impactful event that people will remember. And then also the conversation flows a lot easier and people feel like they belong, because if they don't have anybody to talk to, they can at least go to that table and start using their hands with purpose in that activity. And whenever someone else joins them, they can start talking. It's a kind of like that less stressful way to start connecting with people. And that's something we do. I've done it for adults. I've also done it for kids to show them that the world is bigger than themselves. So you can kind of do it all across the board, and you can do it with big parties. You can also do it with small gatherings if you want to. If you want the time to be more than just dinner, think about adding that activity. If you want your kids to get involved or you want to do a family volunteer thing, add that to your agenda for your celebration. So that's another big tip I have. One I was reading on the blogs that I do not do a good job at, I do have to work on this tip, is closing your event decisively. I am the type of person, I hate to shove people out the door, but then internally, I've already left the party and I'm no longer connecting with them. So I'm not giving them my best self anymore. And if I could close it out more decisively, things would end a lot better. So this is a tip that I'm taking to heart for the next time that we have a get together. And that's, let's saying, oh, let's all enjoy our one last drink in the living room together. Or, coming up and saying, oh, I've had such a great time at this party. Remembering, oh, do you remember, Brian when he played this game? Or how many bags, Nikki colored. And so you kind of are summarizing the event for people, helping people remember the fun times that we've had, and giving that cue that it is time for our time to end. And then also, as you welcome them in warmly, making sure you have them leave in a welcoming, warming way. So giving hugs goodbye. Oh, it was so great to see you. I am so thankful that you came to celebrate with us. If it's a bigger party, you can give a thank you gift on the way out as well. And just make your guests feel that they were welcomed in and that you were so appreciative of their time there, and that it is now time for the night to end and doing that very decisively. That is another tip. And then some easier things using paper products. I know it is, for me, I love to recycle and I don't like a lot of trash, but it does, reduce the stress quite a lot by not having to do dishes afterwards. And then if you have a big event, one thing that I sometimes forget is to turn off the heat. Even in the winter, turn off the heat. In the summertime, crank that AC up, because if you're going to have lots of people in one area, it's going to get warm and toasty very quickly. So the big tips for when you're hosting anywhere from just a dinner party to your family celebrating to a big event. The first thing, making sure that you welcome your guests in and that you are with them. Have things prepared and ready to go. That you use the power of 3 in your food, drinks, and decor. That you have activities for easy conversations and start linking people together so that each one feels welcomed into the party. And having that nonprofit or that mission part of the activities is key and makes it so much more impactful. And then easy things like making sure that you're using paper products, turning down that heat, and working on closing that party like decisively so people know that it is time to move on are some of the tips that I have for you today on hosting and hospitality. What events do you guys like to host? I always love to hear your tips for how you make a successful party, because everyone can plan a mediocre party. It's those impactful, those meaningful, those like ones people talk about that are so fun to hear about. So I would love to hear your tips for creating those. And I wish you all a happy Saturday. It is another gorgeous day here in Michigan, so get outside. I'm sure that's where a lot of you are already. I hope you're able to catch this on a replay. I'm going to possibly put up a couple of our parties in my story on Instagram, so make sure you're following there. And then I will also put up a question box. Next week, on Saturday, so a week from today, I'm going to be answering any questions that you may have when it comes to design. Anything that we haven't covered, anything you want more information about, just type that question in. I'm going to add to my list of questions that I already have from friends. And I'm just going to sit and answer as many questions as I can next Saturday during this time. So make sure you're paying attention to my story and typing in those questions, or email me or message me any questions you may have, and I'll add them to the list and try to get to as many as I can next Saturday. Next week, we're headed upstairs. So we are going to be looking at how do you create more welcoming upstairs rooms, the bedroom, bathroom. We'll talk about a guest room. We'll even talk about your home office and how you can create more welcoming atmosphere for mainly you, your family, and then any overnight stay guests as well. So come join me next week as we talk about those. And I would truly appreciate you sharing this on your feed. If it inspired you, help it to inspire others as well and grow our community. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next Monday. Have a great weekend, friends.